we're going to be looking at the ongoing crisis, you may want to say, at the Edo State House of Assembly, talking about the speakership and the leadership. And, you know, it all started sometime in June 15th when we had the inauguration that brought Mike Okiye, Honorable Mike Okiye, as the speaker. And ever since then, there has been reactions and all that, to the extent that a certain group of members of the Edo State House of Assembly said that they cannot be part of that inauguration. As we speak, it stands at about 12 out of 24 you know, members have since not made themselves available for proper inauguration. Now, the House of Representatives, in an attempt to kind of handle the situation, had to set up you know, an ad hoc committee, of which they came to Benin City. They met some members of the Edo State House of Assembly, and they also met both factions now, that is those in support of the inauguration and also those that are not in support of the inauguration. And the resolution of that meeting at the end of the day was that the governor should write another proclamation letter directing the clerk of the House to set a new date for proper inauguration, and also you know, directing all the members that are aggrieved to make sure that they make themselves available for the proper inauguration. Well, this met also reactions, and it was time for the Senate to also come to Benin City and you know, do their own findings. And as a matter of fact, the Senate ad hoc committee came down and did their own findings, and they also came up with a resolution that the Edo State House of Assembly, the way it is now, that the governor, you know, has to write another proclamation letter, and this time urging the clerk of the House to make sure that he invites all the members, the 24 members of the Edo State House of Assembly, for a day for them to inaugurate the assembly proper. And not only that, to make sure that the proclamation letter should be on the print media and also the electronic media, so that issues that some members are not aware will not come up again. Well, this has been the issue since yesterday, and as we speak now, counter reactions and all that. Well, we've got, I invited, you know, guests to look at these issues today. I invited about 4 of them, and we have 2 of them here already. We have Mr. Tony Alile. Mr. Tony, welcome to this program this morning on ITV.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and we also have Barrister Andrew Emata, who is a constitutional lawyer. Barrister, welcome to this program this morning on ITV.
Thank you for having me.
All right.
Yeah.
We're also expecting Barrister Henry Dahagbo, you know, who I spoke with yesterday. And of course, he promised that he will be on this program today. So when he comes, definitely he's going to have his seat so that he can join us on some of the issues that we're going to be raising here today. We're also expecting Benedict Inaide, who is a public affairs analyst, to also join us on the program as we discuss along on the program today. Gentlemen, welcome one more time.
Thank you, bro.
Yeah,
now, just as what we said, that the Senate yesterday had to give an order, you know, expecting the governor of the state to give another proclamation letter for the Edo State House of Assembly to be properly inaugurated. And looking at all this, there seems to be a section of the Constitution, section 11.4, that seems to be questionable here. Some people have said that no, we cannot really relate that section of the Constitution to all the developments, you know, going around as far as the crises are concerned. Well, let's hear from you, Mr. Tony Alile. What is your immediate response to some of the developments trailing the ongoing issue at the Edo State House of Assembly?
Well, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to be here this morning to talk on this issue. First, let me say I am not surprised when the Senate came up with, you know, with their verdict yesterday. You know, it was long expected, because if you want to go by the information that has been trending for the past couple of weeks, you have heard that one of those members elect has, you know, boasted before now that the Senate President and the Speaker have been so directed to come up with, you know, with the decision of yesterday and the one before.
But that's
so, listen, my friend, I'm not putting up any allegation here. I just said the voice that has been trending of Said Ushomole, if you want me to be specific, he boasted that The
Who
Senate,
boasted now? Oshomole
no,
himself
Said Oshomole boasted that the Senate President and the Speaker, that is Lawad and Honorable Gbajabiamila, has been so directed by the power that be.
But do you have, do you have the proof to that?
I have it right here. If you want me to play it, I can pull up his audio right here from my WhatsApp. And I will play it. No, listen, I am not discussing Said. I don't even know Said. What I'm trying to tell you is I wasn't surprised when that verdict came out from the Senate yesterday that the executive governor of a federated state should be so directed to reissue a proclamation letter that he has been issued. Well, they have said their own. This is not a threat. Edo State is a very peace-loving state. We have been enjoying relative peace in this state since the advent of this administration, and it is not something that will sit back and allow any power from Abuja to come to Edo State and disrupt that peace. Having said that, I think the issue on ground that is generating all of this unnecessary controversy has long been settled. I don't know what the problem is with these people that will not allow things to be, that is doing everything to cause distraction to the good work the state government is doing. The House of Assembly has been so constituted, the Speaker has been elected, and the 12 members have been sitting. The question that I keep throwing out to people, especially those, the lawyers and others, is look at these four things very critically. Was a letter of proclamation ever issued by the state governor? Was the clerk of the House in receipt of that proclamation letter, and was he physically present the day of that inauguration? Was inauguration carried out on the floor of the House of Assembly and the members formed quorum? These are the things we need to look at. And all of these things happened. The governor issued a proclamation letter, the clerk received it, he invited them. Those that had completed their code of conduct forms came in, and they were inaugurated. They voted and they elected a speaker on the floor of the assembly, and they did form a quorum. As a matter of fact, they exceeded the quorum by one number. There were 9 of them that were present that afternoon when that inauguration took place. So I don't know what the problem is. Those that are head bent to cause problem for Edo State, they will live with their problems wherever they live.
Okay. Now we have a new entrant into this panelist today, Benedict Inaide. You're welcome on the program this morning on ITV. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Yes. Now let me come to Barrister Andrew Emantana. Now let's go back to the first position of the House of Representatives when their ad hoc committee came. Now remember some of the findings were that a proclamation was written by the state governor through the clerk to the House of the House of Assembly, but the time of that inauguration was never specified. So that was one of the pitfalls that the House of Representatives, the ad hoc committee found. That was one of the faults. Now, for the Senate committee to come again and probably toe the same line that the House of Reps, don't you think somehow that they're on the right path?
Yeah, thank you. I think I want to quickly say this. This is a matter that is in court, for crying out loud. I mean, for God's sake, we have a system of government that is based on constitutionalism. And that system, of course, finds vivid expression in our Constitution. We talk of separation of powers, whether in a vertical sense or in a horizontal sense. And when we say vertical, we are referring to the various tiers of government. We talk of horizontal, the various organs of government. This matter is in court. As we speak, there are 2 orders of courts restraining both the police and other security agencies on the one hand, and another federal high court order restraining the National Assembly. Are we a lawless nation? Where a matter is in court, you find a National Assembly issuing directives to a state governor? Are we in a feudal system where an overlord gives a directive? This is a federation, for crying out loud. We have organs of government. When a matter is in court, you cannot issue such a vexatious resolution directing the governor of the state when a matter is in court. Even the governor is a party, to that particular matter in court. So when I look at this activities of the National Assembly separately, that's the House of Representatives and the Senate, the best way to describe it are acts flowing from a theater of absurdities.
But Barrister Ironta, I remember at the time, some lawyers like you were of the position that not even the House of Representatives alone can handle this. Even if it has to be the National Assembly, that it has to be the combination of the Senate and the House of Reps. Of course, the way it stands now, we have the combination, two of this, legislature giving their position on the same matter. So don't you think?
Thank you. I think because we have not really dealt with the real issue.
Yeah.
The question is, all these arguments that they have been putting up, though legal, which only the courts can interpret, but I mean for the purpose of argument, or for the sake of argument, let's look at the provisions of that section, section 11. In legal interpretation, there's what we call nostita associs, right? You can only interpret a legal provision from its context. What does section 11 say, looking at its marginal notes? Public order, public security. People have been quoting section 3, sub 3 of 11. What, or that 4 of 11. What does sub 3 say? Sub 3 talks about when the federation is at war. And I teach international humanitarian law. The only part of the federation that is at war, which is an internal armed conflict, is the Northeast. Is Edo State within the theater of war? The answer is no. The subject matter is the Edo State House of Assembly, has it been carrying out its functions as contemplated by section 11 sub 5, because the constitution is not something you just pick a subsection. Sub 3 talks about when the federation is at war. Sub 4 says there's a time the National Assembly can come when the House of Assembly cannot carry out its functions. And 5, sub 5 says there are two things that must be present, namely when the House of Assembly cannot have its normal sittings, or a situation where it cannot carry out its legislative business, like confirming commissioners, constituting itself into committees, oversight responsibilities, which of course the Edo State House of Assembly has been performing since its inauguration on the 17th of June. I think what we are experiencing is a feudal system where somebody sits in Abuja and issue orders and expects a rubber-stamped National Assembly to effect those orders. Okay. But the beauty is that Edo State is not controlled by the National Assembly as a colony, and our government is not a vassal. Okay, well
let's see the section of the Constitution you just quoted, because I have a copy of the Constitution here, section 11.4, and of course it reads that at any time when any House of Assembly, that State House of Assembly now, is unable to perform its functions by reason of the situation prevailing in that state, the National Assembly may make such laws for the peace, order, and good government of that state with respect to matters on which a House of Assembly may make laws as may appear to the National Assembly to be necessary or expedient until such time as the National Assembly to be necessary to be expedient until such time as the House of Assembly is unable to resume its functions. And now, if you read all through, you discover that this section of the law actually talks about the House of Assembly in full. I'm not a lawyer, but some interpretations may interpret it that the House of Assembly, in this case, means in full, not a section of the House of Assembly the way it stands now.
I'll come to that. What does the provision of section 96 say as far as the issue of quorum is concerned? And when they question the proclamation of the governor, I laugh, because when you look at the provision of section 105, it has two principal elements, namely the power of the governor to issue a proclamation and the power of dissolution. And once that proclamation is issued, the duty of the governor ends there. Who has the duty of inauguration? The clerk. And of course, the clerk said after that proclamation, certain steps were taken. Namely, they informed the members that you have to go and do your asset declaration and bring these forms to us so that we have evidence on the day of inauguration that you have fulfilled these requirements. Only 9 of them at the time of inauguration had fulfilled those conditions. And when I say at the time of inauguration, I'm referring to on the 17th of June. So that even when they had that plenary sitting, what is required for a quorum? You just need as simple as 8, because the Constitution says what is required is 1/3 of the members. 1/3 of 24 even when some of us who are lawyers are not good in maths, I did maths and I know I had A3 in mathematics.
Okay. Now,
it's eight. And we had 9 members. There was even an exercise of 1. Yeah. So constitutionally, the requirements of the constitution has been met. And again, the constitution says in 102 that the vacancy of any seats in the house cannot be a ground to invalidate the proceedings of that house from the date of inauguration.
I think we also need to be mindful, even as we try to make such claims, because we also saw that even after that, some of those members that were at the inauguration came out again to say that they were coerced, they were forced to be part of that inauguration.
And the following,
anyway, that's
an allegation. The members were seen with the speaker on an oversight.
Anyway, let me come to Benedict Inaide. You welcome one more time. Perhaps you may want to bear your minds on some of the issues.
Yeah, sorry, the bad roads made it a problem for me to get here on time. I want to thank ITV. The main reason why I make sure I made this program is to first of all talk to our leaders. This will not help us to anywhere. It's about human lives. Leadership is not about ego or advertisement. With all commitment and sincerity, no campaign the governor did in my Edo North that I did not go with my personal resources and my car. Twice I carried Tijani's PA. Today, we are talking about fighting. We are giving money to people. Different talk and everything. Are they thinking, who are they going to bequeath to this leadership to? Are they thinking about those that are following them? Do they think about us at all? I joined this party in 2006. Today, the very few who are benefiting from both parties, they don't even talk. The same poor people buy their data and come online and start insulting each other. They are not thinking. I want to appeal. I started a forum right now, Prayer and Peace for Edo State. That is my stand. That everybody, if you mean this state well, go and pray. Nothing is going on. You may win the argument, but I think when it comes to leadership, it's not about winning the argument.
Yeah, but the question we're asking here, do you think the National Assembly is in the right path on this?
Sir, the laws are there. This is one house, don't forget. It's one house. That is why all these discussions, to me, they don't make sense to me. This is one house. What is a political party? People of same ideology come together, to form a government and to lead the people well. Now, what are we delivering? My vehicle is on the road, on bad road. Nothing is going on. Bini is cut off. Get to Eho this morning. The hold up on that road. You understand me? And we are busy wasting money giving to lawyers and everything. The state, the position of the National Assembly, they said where the House of Assembly cannot hold. Till tomorrow I maintain a stand. I don't see any reason why we inaugurate few and left the majority out. Let's come back to the drawing board. The 24 members are APC. To me, I see the few benefiting from this menace. They are finding the embers of war because they are benefiting. That is what I see. Those who are benefiting from Oshomole, they don't even come online to say anything. Those who are benefiting from the governor don't even come online. They don't even go to anywhere. They sit in the comfort of their homes. So I want to beg the governor. I want to use this medium. Look up to God. Everything will end one day. When you die, what will be said about you? What do you bequeath? What will be said about you? A day will come whereby this hand will no longer go up.
Yeah, Benedict,
so I was in mind. The National Assembly, they are quoting law. They are not quoting law. I'm a stakeholder, a very strong stakeholder. I remember at APC, I have more than 20-something times I've been approached by various political parties come to our party.
I know, Benedict. So my question is the position of the National Assembly.
The position, they said they should inaugurate the house.
Yeah, so
let's do it properly. From my own perspective, let's do it properly.
Okay, that's going by the National Assembly.
Let's do it properly. Let the house be proper. Because now the clerk, nobody is talking about the clerk. It's just the governor. You see, the day you sow evil, somehow it will come back to you. If it's truly the clerk that put this problem, that took this responsibility to bury our party in Edo State.
How do you
because, okay, there are procedures to inaugurate a house.
Yeah.
For a clerk to accept to inaugurate a house 10 p.m. in the night, and the people were never informed, We were the way to inaugurate a House of Assembly is clear. You inform the people, you advertise, the time will be set, everything will be in order. Those days I've attended more than 2 inaugurations. People cook, family come, I mean, from various constituencies for inauguration. It's a thing of joy. It's not, so this is my thing.
Okay.
Now the governor has issued a proclamation letter. Agreed, he has done his job. So it's not the governor, it's not the clerk. And what can be done to somebody who will take it upon himself to cause mayhem and to cause problem in this kind of peaceful Edo state that
okay, let me come to Tony Alile. Now we have a reaction from the state government as signed by the secretary to the state government, Barrister Ogie. Now we're going to see that sometime. Now Tony Alile. Now just like what Benedict said. Now when the House of Rep committee came, the House of Reps committee came, the major fault that they saw was that. Of course, a proclamation letter was written and it was taken to the clerk of the House. Now, it was never mentioned. The time by which the House was inaugurated was never mentioned. Don't you think that is probably a fault on the part of whoever wrote that proclamation letter and whoever did that proclamation in the first place?
Well, first of all, let me thank my brother here, for standing up to say enough is enough. I support you in all of that.
Thank you, sir.
We are true party men, and we won't sit back and let anybody come in and throw spinal into a party that is well organized, that have 24 members of the State House of Assembly elected. Now, to go to your question, we have 24 hours in the course of a day. Get that in your mind. We have 24 hours in the course of a day.
Yeah, but there are conventional working hours. Actually, we all know that there are conventional working hours. Official conventional working hours.
The proclamation letter the state governor sent to the House of Assembly is directing, the governor is fulfilling his constitutional obligation to issue such a letter. He has done his own. So when, where, and how it is done is left with the House of Assembly and the clerk, just like you rightly said. But again, if you have been following this discussion from time, you will agree with me that there have been conflicting reports on when the actual inauguration took place. I was told at about 4:30 p.m. that the speaker has emerged. So I don't know what time the inauguration took place. It will obviously have taken place before that 4:30 p.m. that I got the information. Why some persons are claiming 7 p.m., some are saying 10 p.m., but that is not the issue that we are discussing here.
Yeah, so then we won't attend to that. Yes. Can you allow me to just hold on? Now, Tony, the thing is, the report that was handed over to the House of Reps committee, stipulates that, yes, the House said that there was a proclamation letter, and of course there was an inauguration, but they never stated at the time at which the inauguration was done. So from findings, that is probably where that report was made.
Can I come in here, please? Can I please? From this document I'm holding right now, you'll be reading a lot of sections from that constitution. Can you please open up to the part of this constitution that stipulate the time for inauguration? No, please. Show the word where it is written there, the time for inauguration, please.
Mr. Sir, is there no moral way of living again? And this constitution was put together by Nigerians with complete sense and the sense of human.
Absolutely.
So I don't know, because if now this book called Constitution that's supposed to bring us together in unity, in love, so that we can coexist and build our society, now it has become a problem.
Then the people that are empowered to put laws or amend laws inside this constitution, that ought to have known this constitution so well, knows very well that this constitution respects the principles of separation of power. The lawyer that is seated in between us have earlier said that this case is this issue, there's a suit to this issue in at least 3 courts within this country that threw up restraining order on the police, on the National Assembly, not to interfere in this matter. As a matter of fact, Edo State House of Assembly is not under any crisis, for crying out loud. The House of Assembly has been so inaugurated, a speaker has been elected, and they have been functioning. They have been carrying out their, their constitutional responsibility. They have been, having oversight function. They just recently screened the list of commissioners submitted by the state governor, and those commissioners will be inaugurated and they will be working. So what is the problem? If the National Assembly wants to go by the, by the content of this constitution to say that we can take over a House of Assembly that is in crisis, that cannot function, Edo State is not one of that, because as far as I'm concerned, and as far as the generality of the public of the Edo State are concerned, the House of Assembly has been constituted, it has been inaugurated, and the Speaker has been so elected.
Okay, now let me come to the barrister here. Let's digress a bit. Now, we also have another issue at hand, the issue of representation here.
Yes.
Now, out of 24, we only have about 12 members representing only 12 constituencies, and the other 12...
No, 10 as we speak now.
Okay, 10 members.
10 members as we
only
speak
10
now,
constituencies.
Yes.
Then, of course, the
14
other 14 are not being represented.
12 has
Now,
been inaugurated.
Now, you just
right?
mentioned that the list of the commissioners that will be, has been sent to the House of Assembly. Now, we're talking about representation here. I want to talk about that, Barrister.
Yeah. Thank you very much, sir. I think it's better for us to start with this first question of what time and what evidence can be presented anywhere. Because people have been talking about, 9 p.m., 10 p.m. My very good friend there talked about, the fact that they have to cook rice, they have to, all those are just issues that are very mundane.
But
the most important thing.
Don't you think if the Edo State House of Assembly wanted to do a thorough job, they would have stipulated that in the report that they submitted to the ad hoc committee? Don't you think so? Stipulate the time at which...
No, because it's not coming. I'm coming. You ask the question. Let me deal with the question. Can I deal with the issue you've raised as it relates to the time? Because when you talk of the House of Assembly, there are certain procedures that are parliamentary. Namely, the proceedings of that day, which was the first session, will normally be contained in what we call the votes and proceedings. In terms of timing, in court or elsewhere, it is from that document, which is a public document, that one can now say, this is the time. Because a whole lot of us knew of the inauguration when it was still daylight. It was not at night as some persons are claiming. These are just baseless allegations. I can call them a market square approach to issues, because if a matter is court, with all respect, I'm talking, allow me to talk. When you were talking, I was looking at you.
It's okay, just go ahead.
So when we talk of these issues that, when was inauguration, at what time, these are just hearsays. The only evidence is the votes and proceedings, which of course at the appropriate time, the world will now know at what time the house was inaugurated. And secondly, you talked about representation.
Yeah.
Remember that this is not the first time we are having this kind of situation. In 2015, we had members of the APC, of the National Assembly at the International Conference Center, when the inauguration was going on, by some other members of the Senate and the House of Reps. I remember in the case of the Senate, PDP were in the majority, right?
And of course,
most of the APC members were not there.
Yeah, I remember there was also a call for another proclamation.
Thank you. By the time the inauguration was done, and the members need implication, on their own, they went for that. They came in batches, remember, and they were inaugurated. It's just that in this case of Edo, I'm quite disappointed my brother keeps addressing the governor. There are two sides to this issue. You cannot be advising the governor when we also have another side. It's my opinion. That is one at
You can be disappointed because your position is not my position.
We should be holistic because we have to side to it.
My brother.
And if they are in court, and if they are in court, I think the proper approach is not a question of us being emotional. Allow the court to do its work. You have separation of powers in our constitution. The judiciary has taken over this matter. It's just like Atiku in the tribunal. He's believing that the judiciary will give him justice. Did Atiku, in spite of the server results that he says he has, go to the National Assembly and say, you people should take over the presidency? No. He has decided to toe the path of due process. Okay. And I expect the 12 Abuja lawmakers who have been coming to court. Of course, their lawyers have been coming to court. On the 24th, they were in court. Why not just stay with the organ of government that has the duty of adjudication and interpretation instead of this theater of the absurd?
Okay, now let's get callers from viewers out there. 052-290-571, 573. 052-290-573 is the number. 052-290-573 is going to be displayed on the screen so that you can call and bear your minds on some of the issues that we are looking here. Now, Benedict, let's look at the issue. We talked about the issue of representation, you know, and I don't know. I wanted to also take
my own take. That's why I don't agree with him when he said I take on the governor. Your stand is not my stand. Your opinion is not my opinion. I have my pains. The way you are talking as a lawyer, I'm talking as a party member and as a citizen of Edo State.
I'm not.
I'm coming. Yeah. So we are saying it is just like touching an elephant. Wherever you hold, that's what you describe. Now we know what is involved. In this particular case, like my own local government is not inaugurated. Now the issue is your member representing, yes, my local government has not been inaugurated.
Your state constituency, not your local government. It's called state constituency. State constituency.
Yeah. Okay, fine. It's not inaugurated. The issue is this. I'm not really here to apportion blame. No. All I did for the governor, because I believed in him, because the national leader brought him. I asked a question in Abuja. I said, who is Godwin Obaseki? Who is Adams Oshomole?
Well,
Can you really?
must be mindful of the way we use names here.
No. It's not using them.
We have a caller on the line. Let's just take this call. Yes, hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Oh, yeah, no. Okay, good morning.
Good morning.
The moderator of the parliament. My name is Engineer Adi. I want to contribute to the matter of ground. Actually, I think the problem we have here stems from the matter of proclamation. Because all the other assembly are inaugurated. We knew everybody, even the media carried that this is the day of inauguration. The time, the National Assembly, we knew over a week and we knew the time to be inaugurated. But the one that was done in those days, nobody knew anything about it. In fact, people went to protest that day that he should issue a letter from the nation. So we don't know what they are saying about the timing that they gave to him and the time they did the nation. But I think what is here is if the governor has given a good transition, he will not be in this problem. And that is why the National Assembly is taking the stand to say that he should reissue one that will be acceptable to everybody. I think that's the point there.
Okay. All right, thank you so much for that opinion there. We just had the call. All right.
Yeah, this is Joshua on the line.
Okay.
Yes, I'm coming from Okita Barak. Yes, I just want to comment issue about this political crisis in Edo State. Are you listening to me?
Yeah, we're listening.
Okay. So what I'm asking is this. I don't know what the state is up to. If they are the person, I think each other. They don't this issue and because they have no other party that opposition. So I'm betting to go to Germany and the party if I tell you. Don't be amicably. I'm not even trying to fight each other. I'm also going to also give advice to the presidential level that it is not even trying to make a good state of the crisis. Because this state is a state that so peaceful state among the states in this country. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Now, we heard those two callers. The very first one talked about the proclamation letter, which we'll be talking about here. And he said just like this last National Assembly, the night assembly when it was inaugurated, the time of the proclamation, the time of the inauguration was in the proclamation letter. And as a matter of fact, it was in the media, people saw it, people heard it and all that. But unlike in the case of Edo State,
you see, you keep talking about the time.
And which is the bone of contention.
Yes, wait a minute. If you take that issue of time to the court, for interpretation, they are going to throw it back at you. I asked you earlier, this is the Bible that governs this country.
The Constitution.
I call it the Bible that governs this country.
Yeah.
I want you, or the constitutional lawyer that that is seated among us here, to point to the section that says that so and so time is stipulated or must be stipulated in the proclamation letter before a state assembly or national assembly can be inaugurated. If it is not there, I don't think that is the issue. Let me tell you, those people that came from the House of Rep and the Senate, okay, let me call them the honorable members from the House of Rep and the distinguished senators from the Senate that came to Edo State, came with a mindset. And I've talked about that before now.
But you cannot...
listen to me and listen very carefully. You have not given me the opportunity to play that audio, the voice recording of one of the members-elect, Mr. Said Oshomole.
No, we can't. The alleged person is not here.
Listen, my friend, I am using the name because I know that the voice recording is in the public domain.
And I take that as an allegation.
Because you can call it
allegations for him, but
he said he did not.
Say it is not here.
He couldn't have said he did not. And if he did say that, you guys should also publish it and let people hear that.
It's a shame you say that's why you not accept.
He has posted before now that the National Assembly is coming to Edo State for HRA. And they have already made up their mind that this is what the Senate and the House of Rep is going to, come to, as conclusion. And they have so done that.
Let's take
that. But again, to conclude on this, and to add to what you have said, what you said earlier, all these people are benefiting from this crisis.
Yes.
The young man also mentioned it, how money is flowing from all directions to them. So they will not want this. They will not want this crisis. They will not want this purported crisis to be over, because it's not a crisis as far as I'm concerned.
Well, so let's take everything you are saying about Said as allegation. Because Said is not here, so he's not here to defend himself. We cannot just make squirrels.
Let me conclude, please. Let us abide by the principle of separation of power.
Okay. Now let's
the National Assembly cannot dive into a matter that is before a competent court in this country.
All right. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah. Good morning.
My name is Casey.
Okay.
I'm calling from Benin. Good morning, brother.
Good morning.
I'm trying to speak for those people, those lecturers and other man close to me. I wanted to speak for once. But we don't remain like that in Nigeria. Let somebody do the wrong thing, let's say truth. This court is us. Let's say the truth. The don't have to say let's do the right thing and the right thing, let's do it at the road. If somebody do bad thing, must you do bad thing? For somebody to steal, must you steal at the government? We are not saying that the police is not doing the right thing, let's do the right thing. Now, let's select criminal from the two states. Please, let's do the right thing. It's do the right thing. Because if you don't have anything, in the cupboard, you not put somebody that they want to put there to fight for him. That's any problem. So he's more, they will not put him. Let me do the right thing and put the right thing there. Okay. Thank you, bros.
All right, thank you so much. He's saying that let's do the right thing. He talked about Oshomole. I think we also need to be mindful the way we mention names here, because you can be sued. That's just it. We're going to be looking at the response from the government, signed by the Secretary to the State Government, Barrister Osadnyoge. Now, the Edo State Government has described as unconstitutional and a flagrant disregard for the principle of separation of powers the resolution of the Senate directing the governor of Edo State to issue a fresh proclamation for the inauguration of the Edo State House of Assembly. And of course, in a statement issued yesterday and signed by the Secretary to the State Government, Osadnyoge, the State Government declared that the position of the Senate is an illegality that will not stand. And of course, according to the statement, the move was not unexpected in the light of the enormous political pressure which had been brought to bear on the officers and the members of the distinguished Senate by some persons the state government described as highly placed and powerful, who are intent on foisting their will and choices on the people of Edo State. Now, that's the position of the state government. And of course, the Edo State government said the case has not been dispensed with, and wondered why the Senate will go ahead to issue a threat. The statement advised the Senate not to bow to undue pressure to what is unconstitutional. Gentlemen, if you go down this response, you see that it is as a response to, as related to the proclamation letter directing the state government, to issue another letter in 1 week. That's 7 days. So between now and 7 days time, so do we see any possibility of trying to resolve the issue, Tony Alile?
I don't know what issue you are talking about that needs to be resolved. If we are still talking about the Edo State House of Assembly inauguration, it has been done and it's over.
Yeah, but
the state
what do you
government
think?
is busy focusing on delivering the dividends of democracy that the governor promised during the campaign, and it should not be distracted. That is the focus of the state government right now, and that is what they are doing. So if the National Assembly, after 7 days, wants to come down to the Edo State House of Assembly, that I'm aware of, that will probably be going, on massive renovation very soon. I want to close it down. That's fine. There is a place built already for, for the House of Assembly members to see if there is any disruption in their building.
Are you informing? Is that?
No, I am not informing. I'm not in the government. I'm just telling you what is happening out there. If they come there with their forces from Abuja that takes directives from their overall Oga Patapata to shut down Edo State House of Assembly, there is an alternative place built by our former governor, and I thank you for that. Thank you.
Now, Barrister, the House of the National Assembly has gone on recess immediately after declaring the ministerial nominees and issuing their position on this. They went on recess. So the issue of the 1 week ultimatum, where does it stand?
You see, these are the things we have always maintained.
Yeah, because
the shenanigans are such that on a very good day, they know they don't have such powers. It was just to please their overlord, as it were. They came out with a resolution issuing a directive to the governor as if he's a vassal of the National Assembly. Within 1 week, then you now go on 2 months recess. Is it not an invitation to anarchy? And that is why a former Chief Justice of this country, Atanda Fatai Williams, specifically said in his memoirs that when in a situation where the rule of law is jettisoned, as the National Assembly has done, I add that to it, anarchy becomes a sole beneficiary. But I trust that Edo people will rise up against this unconstitutional assault on the State House of Assembly that they have elected. Because at the end of the day, it is Edo people. You saw what one of the speakers said, that the right thing must be done. The duty of interpretation of our constitution is not that of the National Assembly, but our courts of law, empowered by Section 4 sub 8, that says to the exclusion of every other organ, it is a court that has the power of judicial interpretation. And the Supreme Court has said this in a very important case, Olewi Motors and Union Bank of Nigeria, decided far back in 2006. So if you have a matter in courts, for crying out loud, allow the court to decide this matter. Not issuing proclamation, or not issuing a resolution directing the governor to, within 1 week, as if he's your vassal, and you now take a 2 months,
break.
2 months recess, so that if there's crisis, you would have set that fire, a gunpowder.
I think it's about a month, not up to 2 months.
No, in September. They are coming back in September.
So I think the first week of September. So they have only one.
So you are, okay, what will now happen in August? The whole of August. So if there's a crisis situation, assuming the police now decide to take up arms, but the beauty of this is that the rule of law is not subservient to the rule of an individual.
Okay,
and the people of the day will prevail to ensure that the rule of law is obeyed, is respected, because Section 14 of our Constitution says sovereignty belongs to the people of this country of Nigeria, from whom government, through the 1999 Constitution, derives their power and authority.
Yeah, Benedict, let's look at the issue now. The Senate giving their position and going on recess. So,
Oh, thank you so much. I made my stance on this issue clear from day one. I resort to prayers. I want to employ my friends, Mr. Alile and the barrister. I don't know whether they are friends of Edo. I know Mr. Alile is from Edo. I don't know my other friend very well.
Of course, I'm from Edo State.
Okay.
I'm a Benin man.
Let's go and pray. No price is too big for peace. I'm not interested in all of this. APC remains one indivisible body. Because we remain united, that was how we could win election that bring our governor to the seats. Now we cannot go out now and now looking for parties to come and say to us, I want us to pray for Edo State. I want, because to now you may be benefiting. If there is no peace, can you go to court? Can the court sit? So I'm begging every Edolite, those who are in power, those who are not in power, take 2 minutes every day. I have a platform which I'll be convening. I pray for Edo State. Pray for Edo State. You cannot really tell how far it will go. When we quarrel and I come to you, I say, please forgive me. It's not a sign of weakness. It's because of the value, the premium I placed on our friendship. I have come of age to know what work and know what did not work. Divided we fall, united we stand.
All right, gentlemen.
Part of all these things, part of all these things, they are being orchestrated. They want to destroy the party, but we are praying. And I beg everybody to join us to pray and pray for peace and prosperity of
when you say being orchestrated, yes. Orchestrated by who?
Yes, because when any case comes up, are you hearing me now? There are parties behind. There's an adage, yes, on both sides. That is why when I came in, I said those who are even benefiting, the money bags inside it, they don't do anything. They have access to the governor. They have access to Oshomole. They have access to all other leaders. They know how to lie. Because part of this problem, because I cannot imagine a cordial relationship. Governorship is not councillor. To have a city governor, when they say this is the man, as a party lawyer man, I told the parts. I didn't need to profile. No. Because we had an effective leadership. That is why our ranks could not be broken. Okay. Now today, the whole thing is our tree. We are now quoting law, quote this one will do this one. It's all a shame. All right, Edo State APC leaders must sit down and resolve.
Okay. All right, gentlemen, thank you so much for finding time. The way it stands now, there's a 1-week ultimatum that started yesterday. So
God is going to do something.
By Monday, the ultimatum would have, elapsed.
Yes.
And the honorable members are on recess, 1-week recess. So, and we also have 3 suits. The barrister here, we have 3 suits in the court, restraining. The Inspector General, the Director of the DSS, not to
the President of the Senate, the Speaker, were also restrained, but in spite of that restraining order, they went ahead with that resolution. And unfortunately, you talk of prayer. Yeah. When you talk of prayer, there are 2 types of prayer. The normal religious prayer, which my brother is referring to. And when you go to court, you have prayers. Okay. So the prayers should not just be one-sided. The prayers in court, we should wait for those prayers to be answered, because God will speak to the judge. All right, God will speak to the judge.
Thank you so much.
You also see the will of justice in Nigeria, because this they also have issues with the judiciary. Are you hearing me now? To me, they are not also helping the country.
All right, gentlemen, because of time,
they will take the time we go.
The judiciary remains the last hope of the common man.
It's in sentence.
We'll keep our fingers crossed. Let's watch and see the development of the whole thing, so that one thing that is ultimate for us is that at the end of the day, we have a peaceful Edo State. So, thank you so much for joining. Please extend the handshake. And to Benedict Inaide, all the way from Auchi, you came this morning. A very big thank you to Benedict. Thank you so much.
I greet you.
Well, that's the end of the show. My job is done for today. Tomorrow, Uyak Bonfugbe is going to be here on the same program this morning on ITV. Bye-bye, and God bless you.
Yeah, thank you. That's so much.